What is going on, everybody? So today we're going to talk a little bit about PRB-02 and some of the cards that have been leaked, but I imagine most of you guys at this point have seen most of the cards, so we'll go over it fast. But the more important part of this video is I want to talk about EB01 and just investing in One Piece and other TCGs in general, because this is something that a couple months ago came up in a few of my videos, couple comment sections, and it's a massive misconception in the hobby. But we'll start off by looking at some of these PRB-02 cards. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen a lot of the Golden Dawn cards that we're going to be getting in PRB-02. I think that's great. I think they look awesome. Hopefully they have about the same pull rates as PRB-01. But the more important part, especially for the players, is that a lot of cards that are playable are getting reprints. So we know that Cavendish is getting a reprint, Bond Clay is getting a reprint, I believe Brook's getting a reprint, Finger Pistol's getting a reprint. Lots of cards are getting reprints. The secret rare Luffy from, what is that, EB02 or OP11? I can't remember which one it is. That's getting a reprint. So lots of expensive cards are going to be cheaper, and I think that's awesome. And you can already see a lot of the EB01 cards, like the Bond Clay, like your Brook, the Cavendish, Finger Pistol. I mean, this was like $12 for just a regular rare. It's now down to around $5-6, and I think those will continue to drop as time goes on. All of that is a very good sign, in my opinion. I don't think that cards that are, kind of base rarity or aren't super rare, they aren't alt arts or mangas, they shouldn't be super expensive, right? People that need the cards to play the game should be able to build decks for cheap. And I'm not saying that every card should be worthless, because there should be cards that have value, that have collectability to them and rarity that people want to chase and try and open. But we shouldn't see base rares at $12 or super rares around $20, $30, $40, maybe even $50. To me, that is just ridiculous. So it's a good sign that Bandai is going ahead and reprinting a lot of these cards. And the other big card that we saw is now that Sanji is getting a manga. This is going to be the manga rare in PRB-02. It's great to see Sanji finally getting some of the appreciation that he deserves. I think that's pretty much all we're going to talk about in PRB-02 here. I mean, you guys can go see, like, the Law is getting reprinted. We're getting a Kobe reprint, Gecko Moria, Crocodile, Blackbeard, lots of other cards. You guys can let me know in the comments down below if you've heard anything, but I'm not aware that there's going to be God packs. I also don't mind that there's not going to be God packs. Now, if there is going to be God packs, let me know in the comments, obviously. But if there aren't going to be God packs, I'm fine with it. I don't think it's something that you have to throw in every set or every premium booster. To me, if they did that every single time, you would just be diluting the value of what a God pack is. We've also seen all the event mangas, I believe, at this point. You have one with Blackbeard, you have the Buggy one, this is the Shanks one, and then there was, what, the Gum Giant with Luffy. So basically all the new Emperors have an event rare manga. It's going to be interesting to see how well these cards do. A lot of it's going to depend on rarity and how many eventually get pulled. But I think a couple of them, especially the Shanks and Luffy ones, have potential to be quite expensive. Now, should you invest in PRB-02? If you guys want my opinion, yes, I think you should get some PRB-02. Obviously, Bandai has not reprinted their premium boosters like other sets. And until that changes, you should just assume Bandai is going to have shorter or smaller print runs for their extra boosters, for their premium boosters. But outside of just the scarcity argument, there are some good cards in there. Like we talked about the event rare mangas, you have the Sanji manga up top. We're gonna have all of those Golden Dawn cards and hopefully some decent alt arts, and that should be enough to make it a fairly decent set with some top chase cards that people will want to try and rip and open for their collections. Now, moving into the second part of this video, if you guys remember back a couple months ago when I was talking about EB01, there were a couple people in my comments that said once a lot of the cards in EB01 get reprinted, the box is just going to crash, right? Because the box prices in One Piece are held up by the TCG, and I completely disagreed with that. I didn't see any logic behind it. Obviously, the One Piece card game has a lot more effect on card prices compared to something like Pokemon, where there's much more collectability. There's a lot larger percentage of people in that TCG that are just there to collect rather than play the game. So I understand why some of these cards, especially once they get reprinted, like Bond Clay, like Brook, like your Cavendish, Finger Pistol, it makes sense why these are coming down in price. And this is fully to be expected when we get reprints on the market. Not if it's just the same booster box, but also if they come out in another set, if they come out in a starter deck or another product. But the thing that people don't understand is you get to a point where the box separates from the cards inside of it. The reality is sealed products themselves are a collectible item that people want for their shelves, for their displays. And as an investment, every single day, there are less and less of these out there unless we get more from a reprint, in which case we will see the booster box price come down. But if that doesn't happen, we're just going to continue to see it climb. And I mean, if you look at the 1 year chart of something like EB01, you can see here, it climbed up to like $330, pulled back a little bit, which makes perfect sense because after you have a massive spike on a box, you're going to have some people that want to take profits, so they're going to list. Same thing happened in Pokemon lately with Brilliant Stars, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin. All of those boxes saw new all-time highs. They pulled back like 10%, 15% on a couple of the boxes, not even for some of them, like 5% on a couple, but in that range. And now we're going to see them continue to climb back up over time. Same thing happened with EB01. Came back down to around 300. Now we've been climbing back to around 320, 330-ish dollars. And if you go to eBay and you look at the most recent sales, July 6th, $300, 2 bids. July 5th, $350. This is in USD, by the way. That was buy it now. You had one box here sell at $243.50. This is definitely an outlier. July 3rd, another one at $335. So basically every single sale is over $300. And again, this could change. We could see the box come down in price. It's entirely possible. If all the cards just tank to like $5, we see the box price come down. That is a possibility. It still could happen. But unless we get a very large reprint of this box, I just don't see that being a very likely possibility. And the final thing I want to say in this video is to touch on these listings here, because you can see this box sold for $243.50. And if we go look at this listing, this is why I harp on all the time. If you guys are trying to build a business, you're planning to build a decent collection, or you're investing, you have to master the art of selling too, okay? This isn't the stock market where you click a couple buttons and you get your money out, right? Like if you want to sell product, you have to market it and do a good job. This is a very poor listing. If we look at the title here, first of all, this was an auction. So you never want to sell auctions. You never want to be in a rush to move a product, especially something like EB01, where a lot of these don't sell on a weekly, monthly basis. You want to be in a position where you can throw it up, buy it now at a price you're happy with, and just let it sit and wait, and someone will eventually come along and buy it. Also, when we look at the title for this Memorial Collection One Piece, that's a terrible title. It's too short. It's lacking important keywords. I would do something like One Piece Memorial Collection Booster Box, One Piece TCG Memorial Collection Booster Box. I'd throw EB01 in there as well, because that's going to be the code for the set. And if we look at a lot of these other sellers here, Memorial Collection, they have Booster Box in there. They have the extra booster. They have EB01 in brackets. Perfect. Like that's a pretty solid title. If we go over to this one, One Piece English TCG Memorial Collection Booster Box, they have EB01 as well. And then the final one, same deal, One Piece TCG Memorial Collection Extra Booster Box EB01. So you can see here, it's not a coincidence that these listings sold for a lot more than this one at $243. Also, this is just like a really poor photo. It's only one. If you're selling a sealed box that's expensive, you want to show all sides of the box, especially if you're a new seller, you don't have a lot of trust built up or a reputation around you. Take photos of every single side of the wrap, the front, the back, the sides, the top, the bottom. Make sure it's in good lighting. I mean, this is a much better listing. It's not perfect, but at least they show all the sides, the top, the bottom. Same thing with these ones. It's pretty easy to see what they're showing, good high quality photos. And I know having a conversation like this is going to be boring for some of you guys, but if I can change just how one person lists their items, I know for a fact that it's going to save you probably hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in your lifetime, and make sure that you get top dollar. So that's why I always try and bring it up. But either way, to sum up this video, yes, you should probably get some PRB-02, not just because the Sanji manga is awesome, and then the manga event rares of like Buggy, Shanks, Luffy, those will probably be pretty decently expensive. Same thing with the Golden Dawns, those will be quite expensive as well, especially if they have similar pull rates to PRB-01. And then also just don't expect the price of EB-01 booster boxes to drop just because the card values in the set are dropping. But as always, you guys let me know in the comments down below what you think. Have you pre-ordered PRB-02? What is your chase card from the set? With all that said, thank you so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.